Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, deep down in your core. Have you ever wondered how you became the person others needed you to be, but not who you were meant to be? That disconnect, that ache in your chest that something feels off, that's the cost of living a life based on pleasing everyone else. That's the price of constantly saying yes when your soul is screaming no. And today we're done with that. We're going to stop pleasing everyone, and we're going to start living for you. You see, the habit of people pleasing doesn't come out of nowhere. It often starts young. Maybe it came from wanting to be the good kid, the reliable one, the one who didn't cause problems. Maybe it came from growing up around conflict, where being agreeable was the only way to stay safe. Or maybe it grew out of fear of rejection, of disappointing others, of being judged or left behind. Whatever the roots may be, the habit formed, and what started as a survival strategy became your operating system. But here's the hard truth. What kept you safe before is now keeping you stuck. You don't owe anyone your silence, your obedience, or your constant availability. You are not alive to meet every expectation, to fulfill every request, to smile through every discomfort, or to constantly adjust your needs so someone else doesn't feel offended or let down. That is not why you are here. You were not born to be a mirror for others. You were born to be a light for yourself. When you live your life to keep others happy, you abandon yourself. You slowly start to vanish in your own story. Your dreams get delayed, your opinions get softer, your voice grows quieter, until one day you realize you've been living on autopilot, doing things out of obligation instead of inspiration. And it's draining, isn't it? You wake up tired not because your body is worn out, but because your spirit is. You find yourself saying yes with a smile while your heart whispers no behind your teeth. You overcommit, overapologize, and overextend, only to lie in bed feeling underappreciated, unseen, and deeply unsatisfied. This isn't just burnout. This is betrayal, a betrayal of your own soul. But there's good news. The moment you become aware of this is the moment you get to take your life back. You are allowed to put yourself first. In fact, it's not just allowed. It's necessary. Living for yourself is not selfish. Let me repeat that. Living for yourself is not selfish. It's the most honest and courageous thing you can do. Because when you live for you authentically, unapologetically, you give the world the version of you that is whole, present, and powerful. And that version of you is the one who can truly give, support, and connect not out of guilt, but out of abundance. But how do you start? First, you begin by getting honest, ruthlessly honest. Ask yourself, what do I actually want? What makes me feel alive? What have I been doing just to avoid judgment or gain approval? These are not easy questions. They might shake you, but they'll also wake you. Then comes the hardest part: boundaries, people. Pleasers often struggle with boundaries because they feel like walls. But boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. Doors that you get to open when it feels right. Doors that you can close when you need peace. Saying no is not rejection, it's direction. You're not pushing people away. You're guiding your life toward what matters most. And yes, people may not like it at first. That's okay. Not everyone will cheer for your healing. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. Some may get upset when you stop performing for their benefit, but their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their confusion is not your burden. Your job is not to be understood by everyone, it's to be at peace with yourself. The right people, the ones who truly love and respect you, will adjust, and the wrong ones, they'll reveal themselves. And that, too, is a gift. As you start living for you, the noise might get loud. The guilt may creep in. But stay the course, because on the other side of that discomfort is a life that feels like yours. A life where your choices are rooted in passion, not pressure. A life where your time is spent in alignment, not in anxiety. A life where your yes means something because you finally had the courage to say no to what didn't. And as you walk this path, something beautiful happens. You begin to discover yourself again. You remember what brings you joy, not because it pleases others, but because it lights you up inside. You reconnect with your creativity, your opinions, your boundaries, your passions. You find your voice again, not the one that echoes others, but the one that is uniquely yours. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's mold. You stop editing yourself for comfort. You start living boldly, breathing deeply, speaking honestly. And the more you do, the more your confidence grows. Not arrogance, not bravado, but quiet, grounded, unshakable confidence, the kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I need, I trust myself. That is the power of living for you. You start to make decisions that feel good in your gut, not just on paper. You stop seeking external validation because your internal compass is finally tuned to truth. You stop living in fear of disapproval because you finally approve of yourself. You don't need to be the favorite, the easy one, the one who never causes a stir. You get to be the one who is real. Living for you doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care deeply, but not at your own expense. It means you give, but not to the point of depletion. It means you listen, but you also speak. You support others, but you support yourself first. And slowly, you become magnetic not because you're trying to be liked, but because you are aligned. People are drawn to those who live with integrity and self-respect. You become a permission slip for others to do the same. Your authenticity becomes your power. Let's be honest. There will always be people who want more from you than you can give. There will always be expectations that don't match your reality, and you will never please everyone. So why exhaust yourself trying? Why not please yourself first? Why not wake up in a life that makes you excited, instead of one that checks someone else's boxes? Why not create a version of success that's defined by your values, not society's? Because at the end of your life, the question won't be, did everyone like me? The real question will be, did I live fully? Did I love myself well? Did I honor my truth? And I want your answer to be yes. I want you to say yes. I stopped living for applause, and I started living for peace. I stopped chasing approval, and I started chasing purpose. I stopped trying to be everything for everyone, and I finally became everything I was meant to be for myself. So today, right now, I challenge you. No, I invite you to take one bold step toward yourself. It doesn't have to be massive. Maybe it's saying no to a plan you don't want. Maybe it's expressing an opinion you've been holding back. Maybe it's choosing rest over productivity. Maybe it's simply admitting that you're tired of pretending. Whatever it is, do it. Start where you are, start messy, start afraid, just start. You owe it to yourself. Not because you need to earn your worth, you were born worthy, but because you deserve a life that reflects that worth. A life where your needs matter, your dreams matter, your you matters. So stop pleasing everyone, start living for you, and watch how the world begins to shift, not because you changed for it, but because you finally came home to yourself. You are not here to survive, you are here to thrive. You are not here to be liked, you are here to be real. You are not here to blend in, you are here to stand out boldly, beautifully, and fully alive. The world doesn't need another people pleaser. The world needs you, the real you. And now it's your turn. Constantly trying to please everyone leads to exhaustion, not just the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that sits in your bones and in your spirit. It's the kind of exhaustion that comes from always being on, always calculating your words, your tone, your behavior, to make sure no one feels uncomfortable, disappointed, or offended. You become a full-time manager of other people's emotions, walking on mental tightropes just to avoid conflict. And at the end of the day, no matter how much effort you've put in, no matter how many boxes you've checked, there's still someone who wants more. There's always another expectation waiting, another invisible rule to follow, another smile to fake, another compromise to make, and in all of that effort to be everything to everyone, something starts to happen. You begin to lose you. Your identity slowly starts to blur. The version of yourself you show to your family is one thing. The version your friends see is another. At work, yet another mask. You become a chameleon, adapting to each space, each person, each situation until you forget which version is real. You stand in a room full of people and feel unknown, even to yourself. Your voice grows quieter, not because you have nothing to say, but because you've learned to suppress it, to dilute it, to shrink it for the sake of keeping peace or staying liked. But what is peace if it costs you your authenticity? What is being liked if it comes at the expense of your own self-respect? That's not peace, that's performance. That's not connection, that's a contract. One where your true self is the payment, and so your life begins to feel like it doesn't belong to you. Your days are filled with tasks you didn't choose. Your time is consumed by obligations that don't fulfill you. You wake up living a schedule that serves everyone but you. You've said yes so many times that your life is shaped by the expectations of others, your boss, your partner, your parents, your peers, but not your own desires, not your own values, not your own dreams. You may find success by someone else's definition, but you'll feel hollow inside. You may receive compliments and approval, but they won't nourish you, because deep down you'll know you didn't live this day for you. You lived it for someone else's comfort, someone else's narrative, someone else's idea of who you should be. And that's where resentment begins to grow, not just toward others, but toward yourself. You start to resent your own choices. You wonder why you keep saying yes when you want to scream no. You question why you're always the one bending, always the one giving in, always the one holding the emotional weight for everyone else. You tell yourself, next time I'll speak up, but when next time comes, the fear wins again, the silence wins again. The performance continues, but here's the truth. This kind of life, where everyone else comes first and you come last, is not sustainable. It's not noble, it's not admirable, it's a slow and quiet form of self-abandonment, and it's not your fault if you ended up here. Many of us were taught that being good means being agreeable, that being kind means being selfless to the point of invisibility, that love is earned through sacrifice, but none of that is true. The reality is this. Constantly trying to please everyone turns you into a stranger in your own life. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day and realize that while you were busy meeting everyone else's needs, your own life passed you by. You don't get a second chance at this life. You don't get to rewind and redo the years you spent people pleasing. But you do get to choose differently from this moment forward. You do get to decide that your life, your one, sacred, irreplaceable life, deserves to be lived by you for you. Because the longer you try to fit into molds that were never meant for you, the more you delay your own evolution, the more you try to keep the peace around you, the more you disturb the peace within you. And if you think constantly pleasing others will lead to love, connection, or safety, ask yourself this: has it ever? Real love, real connection, real fulfillment, they don't come from performance. They come from presence, from showing up as you truly are. And that can only happen when you stop letting others dictate the rhythm of your life. So if you're exhausted, if you feel lost in your own story, if your days feel like obligations instead of opportunities, take a moment. Breathe and remind yourself you were not put here to meet the world's expectations. You were not born to be everyone's solution. You are not a utility. You are a human being with your own wants, needs, feelings, and dreams. You are allowed to honor that. You are allowed to protect that. You are allowed to choose you. Because when you stop trying to please everyone, you finally make room to meet the one person who's been waiting the longest to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved, yourself. True freedom and fulfillment don't come from approval. They don't come from applause. They don't come from bending over backward to meet expectations you never agreed to in the first place. Real freedom, the kind that fills your lungs when you breathe, the kind that softens your chest when you sleep at night, comes from honoring your own voice. From finally turning inward and listening to the truth that has always been there, quietly waiting beneath all the noise. Your voice, your true inner voice, isn't loud or demanding. It doesn't shout over people or beg to be heard. It whispers, it nudges, it feels like intuition, like clarity, like peace. It's the voice that tells you this isn't right, even when everything looks perfect on the outside. It's the voice that says, this lights me up, even when others can't understand it. It's the voice that reminds you of what matters most, even when the world tries to convince you to focus on something else. But too often we ignore that voice, we override it to be polite. We silence it so we don't make waves. We tell it not now, because we're scared of what it might cost to listen. And the longer we ignore it, the more disconnected we become. From our values, our desires, and ultimately, from ourselves. But when you begin to honor that voice, really honor it, you step into a life that feels like yours. A life with alignment, not just achievement. A life with meaning, not just motion. And that's when you begin to experience true fulfillment. Fulfillment doesn't come from checking every box society gives you. It doesn't come from being liked by everyone or never offending anyone. It comes from living in alignment with who you really are. From doing work that matters to you. From spending time with people who see the real you, not the version you perform. From making choices that reflect your truth, not just your obligations. But to get there, you must draw a line in the sand. You must set boundaries, and let's be clear, boundaries are not barriers. They're not punishments. They're not cold or cruel. Boundaries are a form of clarity. They are the space where your freedom begins. They are the framework that protects your energy, your peace, your time, and your truth. They are how you teach the world how to treat you. When you set boundaries, you're not being selfish. You're being honest. You're saying, this is what I can offer, and this is what I can't. You're saying, this matters to me. You're saying, I respect myself enough to protect what keeps me grounded. And here's what happens when you do that. The right people stay. The real ones, the ones who value your honesty more than your compliance. The ones who don't just want your presence, they want your wholeness. You begin to create relationships that are built on mutual respect, not silent resentment. You create space for joy to return, because you're no longer drowning in obligations you never truly agreed to. You create time for what lights you up, because you've stopped filling your calendar with things that drain you. And most of all, you create a life that makes sense to your soul, a life that reflects who you are, not just who others need you to be. A life where your decisions are not filtered through fear or guilt, but through trust and self-awareness. A life where you don't have to wear a mask to be accepted, because you've accepted yourself first. This is what it means to be authentic. Not perfect, not polished, but real. Living authentically doesn't mean you'll always have the answers. It doesn't mean you won't feel fear or uncertainty. But it means that you'll finally be honest about what you want, about what you value, about what you're no longer willing to tolerate. And from that honesty comes freedom. The kind of freedom that no title, paycheck, or external approval can ever give you. The kind of freedom that lets you exhale, that lets you rest, that lets you walk into a room without wondering who you need to become to fit in, because you already belong to yourself. And isn't that the greatest kind of success? Not just living a life that looks good, but one that feels good? That's what you unlock when you stop trying to be everything to everyone, and start becoming everything you were meant to be for yourself. You're not here to impress, you're here to express. You're not here to perform, you're here to live. You're not here to hide your truth, you're here to honor it, so honor your voice, set your boundaries. Align your life with your real self, not your role, not your title, not your reputation, but your truth. That's where fulfillment begins, that's where your power lives, and that's the life you deserve to live, unfiltered, unapologetic, and undeniably yours. Saying no to others is often a powerful yes. To yourself, it's more than just a word. It's a declaration, a turning point, a sacred boundary line between the life you've been tolerating and the life you're finally ready to claim. Because every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're not just rejecting a task, an invitation, or an expectation. You're affirming your worth. You're saying, my energy matters, my peace matters, my time matters, I matter. For so many of us, no has become a word laced with guilt. We've been taught to believe that saying no means we're being rude, difficult, selfish, or ungrateful. We've been conditioned to believe that our value lies in our willingness to accommodate, to assist, to say yes even when it stretches us thin or pulls us away from what we truly need. But here's what they don't teach us. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your heart, you are saying no to something that does. You are saying no to rest. You are saying no to presence. You are saying no to your creative time, your peace, your health, your goals. You are saying no to yourself, and that's a heavy cost to pay for temporary approval. Saying no isn't rejection. It's redirection. It's choosing to invest your energy in what truly matters, because you only have so much time in a day, so much emotional capacity, so much focus, and when you spend it on things that drain you, you have nothing left for the things that are meant to build you. You start each day already depleted, already behind on your own dreams because you're busy fulfilling someone else's. It's like handing out pieces of your soul in tiny fragments until you wake up one day and realize you've given yourself away completely. But you can stop that cycle. You can reclaim yourself one no at a time. No, I can't take that on right now. No, I'm not available this weekend. No, I'm not comfortable with that. No, thank you. That doesn't feel right for me. These are not rude statements. These are sentences of self-respect. These are words of self-preservation. These are the foundations of a life lived intentionally, because every no you speak out loud is a yes, whispered back into your own spirit. Yes to your well-being, yes to your priorities, yes to the projects that light you up instead of burn you out. Yes to relationships built on mutual respect instead of silent sacrifice. Yes to your future, yes to your truth. Yes to your healing, and as you begin to say no more often, you start to notice something, clarity. You begin to see what actually matters to you. You start to filter requests through your values instead of your fears. You no longer jump to people, please, because you understand that your worth isn't measured by how agreeable you are. It's measured by how authentically you live. And something else begins to happen. You gain time. You get hours of your life back. Hours that you used to give away automatically. Hours you can now spend working on your goals, nurturing your relationships, resting your mind, exploring your creativity. Those no's become open doors back to yourself. You also gain energy, emotional energy, mental space. That quiet calm that comes from not overcommitting, not carrying things you shouldn't be carrying, not saying yes, just to be polite and then resenting it later. You find that your yes actually starts to mean something again because it's coming from a full cup, not an empty one. Most importantly, you regain your purpose because when you stop chasing everyone else's agenda, you finally have room to reconnect with your own. You start to remember what you wanted before everyone else told you who you should be. You start to feel inspired again, motivated again. You get back in touch with your calling, your dreams, your ambitions, and with each clear no, your path becomes less crowded, less noisy, less foggy. It becomes yours. This isn't about being cold or unkind. It's about being conscious. It's about leading your life instead of being led by guilt or obligation. People may not always like your boundaries. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to be liked. It's to be authentic. The goal is not to keep everyone happy. It's to live a life that makes you whole. And if that requires some uncomfortable conversations, so be it. If it requires disappointing someone else so that you no longer have to disappoint yourself, that is a trade worth making. So let this be your permission. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to protect your time and your peace. You are allowed to put yourself first, not because you're selfish, but because you